Welcome back to the K4Wins, man. What a show we have for you. We're on every single Tuesday and Friday mornings, 10 o'clock Central Time, of course, right here on the Coastal Digital Network. And Tony Kurre Radio also on Audacity. We have a monster week. The NFL starts on Thursday. Where was the scoring this past weekend? Historic lows in college football. We'll talk about that. Bill Belichick said late after the game last night, he said, we were better than what you saw tonight. We hope so. Plus, look out for them Rangers. They're making a late push in Major League Baseball. We have some time for that as well right here in the big show. Right below me, Kip Keefer, Executive Director of the Birmingham Racecourse and Casino, does a bang-up job. We have Case Keefer. He is the man from the fantastic Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Sun. That thing is just rolling and blowing. And, of course, going the first week of the season, why not, as we get ready for week two. And, of course, Kai Gregory, a man who's been busting, as you know what, he's been handicapping games pretty much his entire life. This is K4Wins. K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com, at K4Winners, or K4Winners.com. You can check out our website. Gentlemen, how we all doing? I know it's kind of was a reaction, overreaction, whatever you want to say. Let's go around the horns real quick. Case, first thing you thought of after this college football weekend?
It was a pretty good weekend for me. Winner, so just turn the page, get on to the next one. Nothing to really write home about, but I guess it depends where you caught me. Like if you caught me on this show, you're probably thinking I'm a genius. I feel like everything I gave out hit. The starting lineup with you guys, not so much. I don't think I did great on that show. Another spot I do here in Vegas. If you just want to talk about the big games, I crushed it. I think I had a great read on all the big games, except the one I did miss. I missed spectacularly. Alabama, nowhere close. But really, my saving grace, a lot of props posted on these big games, a lot of ways you could get in on the action, touchdown scores, and they all went basically exactly how I thought. So that made me have a pretty good week one, and super excited to have a week two that's more traditional. The games posted Sunday. I was here at the battle station firing away at the openers. Get to see them develop just for about 5 days instead of 3 months. So I'm excited to get more into the rhythm of the season, but it was a fun week one for me.
Kip, it is an ugly schedule for a week two, and that's probably a good thing because we do have the National Football League starting in earnest on Thursday, and of course the full slate on Sunday. What really stuck out to you college football this past weekend, though, quickly?
Well, from a personal standpoint, what stuck out to me is I'm an absolute moron because I weighed in on all the big games, but I didn't play any of the big games. I stand on the mountaintop and espouse how superior the SEC is every day. And what do? I get enticed by a bunch of shit teams getting points against SEC teams, and they all stink. It was a terrible decision. I can't believe I'm this idiotic because all the big games, I was right on target on every single one.
All right, Kai Gregory, what did you see as you played both sides now for nearly 4 decades? What really stuck out to you in college football this weekend, quickly?
Public was all over the favorites all weekend long. All favorites, all favorites, all favorites, and all overs. I can tell you that. Kip, you got Toledo right on the nose.
Yeah,
plus 10, they only lost about 8. There was that. I mean,
the line I had was 9.5, so I'm calling that one a winner. I don't know
well,
where
it
the
is
8
win.
came from.
They only lost by 8.
Thank you.
Absolutely won.
My one win of the week. We're not gonna have after further review. Kiefer did not make the catch all the way to the ground.
I loved. There's quite a few games. I mean, clearly, I mean, I was on Alabama. I thoroughly enjoyed losing that game. Being a Tennessee fan, anytime Alabama loses, it's great. In my opinion, we did well on Auburn. We did well on the TCU game. Here we didn't do so well in Alabama. We didn't have anything posted in the Clemson game because we were on opposite sides. Notre Dame game.
Had Penn State over. Penn State over.
So some of those, Clemson. I think that I still think Clemson is a very good team. And I just really thought, especially in that game, that the coaching for Clemson, the play calling, was atrocious.
Yeah,
I really did. I actually thought the coaching in that game was worse than in the Alabama game. But Alabama was run, pass every single drive, run, pass. Ty Simpson is apparently not the savior, or are we overreacting? I don't know. And on a personal note, welcome Joey and Nico.
Yeah. I will say this about the Clemson thing, and certainly I was off on that bad boy, giving up 4 points. I didn't play it; it wasn't one of my plays. We were going back and forth. I do think there's still going to be
Tony
a top
Curry
12 team.
undefeated.
Yeah, Tone the Bone went 3-0 on our plays in the starting lineup, and of course, I finished that up last night with just an absolute throgging of Bill Belichick last night. Gotta hope they're better than they actually look last night. The one thing that I was surprised by at one point on Saturday, I'm an over guy. I love playing overs. A lot of people like playing overs because you're always in the game. At one point on Saturday, the unders were 17-3 in the first 20 games going off on Saturday. It was unbelievable. They finished 29-14, which is about the same thing as it was last year. I don't expect the guns to be blazing. We've nailed this every single week. All four of us have been talking about the quarterback play. Where is it going to be coming from? The offense has looked horrible. The FBS teams this weekend, playing FBS teams, FBS against FBS, averaged 23.5 points per ball game. 23.5 points per ball game with all the cream puffs. And you mentioned those two top 10 games. Not one of those teams, not one of them scored 17 points or more. I mean, if you were looking for a lot of score, and we said it right here, I said, don't be surprised if you're watching that Texas-Oklahoma State game and they just feel each other out in the first half, and maybe you get some score in the second half, a 14-7 game. We had a 10-0 game, some ugly-ass games. And now, of course, we've got a monster weekend going on here with week 2. San Jose, Texas, Ole Miss, Kentucky. I mentioned UAB, Navy. Navy's given up 21 to my Blazers, and I don't think it's
We
enough.
keep talking about UAB like they're a serious entity, guys. Just in, they are not.
No, they're not. And I just say this because I've got a really, really good sense of what's going on. I'm a UAB guy. I didn't go to UAB. I know Trent Dilfer really well. I was off on the -20 for sure. I did have the over. I will take the over 60 again. But yeah, Florida, South Florida, interesting matchup. 17.5, I think, is really interesting. South Carolina State and South Carolina. South Car did get one victory. And man, when you get the over 7.5, you take every victory you can get. They should get number 2 this weekend. Vandy, Tech, Ball State, Auburn. Can Auburn be afforded to give up 42 points to anybody? I don't know. They look pretty good this past weekend against Baylor. 43, Arizona State, Mississippi State, Michigan, Oklahoma, which sounds like a great game, but is it? Oklahoma giving up 5.5, and Alabama. I thought this was really interesting. Alabama is giving up 36.5 to La Monroe. Do you know who the head coach of La Monroe is?
Brian Vincent.
That would be Brian Vincent, the same guy that UAB said, we're good. We don't need you. We're going to go with this guy named Trent Dilfer. So there may be just a little bit. I know it doesn't matter. You're still putting guys on teams at Jims and Joes, not the X's, the O's in this particular case. But Brian maybe want to try, if he possibly can, to make a statement against a squad that Alabama obviously didn't want to have anything to do with. UAB, maybe they'll have something to say about that as well. But yeah, I mean, it's great. And then, of course, so we're going to get into the pros big time coming up on the Friday show. But yeah, just, I mean, we'll start right here because I know a lot of people know we're all from the Alabama area. What's going on with the Crimson Tide, Kip? You did a radio show. And I told you this. I've done radio. I've been on the network for Alabama football for 30 years. And when they lose, it's great radio. I want them to either go undefeated so I can go to the national championship game, or I want them to lose every single game because when they lose, Bama fans come out of their gourds. What were they saying on Saturday night and Sunday morning?
It was just insane. We had 4 calls holding before we even came on the air. We had 7 lines in the Jock studio. They were lit up for the entire 2 hours. We didn't have 1 minute of anything but caller reaction at our trying to react to them. We had everything from who to hire to who to fire. Of course, Greg Byrne is getting absolutely eviscerated for this hire. The legend made his first public comments on the morning after, not on Feinbaum on Sunday. He said he found himself Sunday morning at the top of a tree. He had found a sympathetic squirrel to talk to who was trying to advise him not to jump. It was just bizarre. But my favorite was the caller who said, well, they just need to get rid of this guy. And our producer, John Saber, said, well, he's got a $70 million buyout. He goes, Alabama's got the money. And he says, okay, well, and I said, well, who do they get? And he goes, that DeMarco Ryans from Houston would be good. And I said, well, his name's not DeMarco Ryans, but I think they already floated the idea of him taking the job when Saban quit and he turned it down. And he said, well, they can get the money together and afford him. What about Kirby Smart? He'd come back. And Terry, of course, had to stand up for Georgia and say, That's not going to happen. Kirby's the highest paid coach in college football now at his alma mater. He's not coming back to Alabama. Are you insane? He goes, if they give him $20 million, he might come back. Well, so this guy was advocating, let's give Kalen DeBoer $70 million to go away, and let's give Kirby Smart $20 million to come in and coach. Something's not right with the equation there, guys. It's a lot more lucrative, apparently, to fail spectacularly than to be a consistent winner, is kind of the rationale of that caller. But it was just crazy stuff like that. These people, and I knew it was coming, because all these Alabama fans have heard nothing but glowing reports all spring, all summer about how everything's going here. Recruiting's going great. Practice looks fantastic. Everybody's settled in. Ty Simpson's going to be awesome. They were just fed the Kool-Aid, the rat poison, as Nick Saban would call it. And they gave DeBoer and the staff a pass for last year, coming in with all these expectations. Everybody was predicting a 3 or 4 touchdown win, and it was a true road game, and they didn't factor in that Florida State is not exactly like playing, Samford or pick one out of the hat, or the Stetson Hatters. That was a good tie-in. But the bottom line is, I wasn't shocked. Everybody was on the Alabama bandwagon, and I certainly didn't have the gonads to pick Florida State outright, but I kept saying this is a true road game. I don't think it's going to be as easy as a walkover. And that warning kind of fell on hollow ears, because these people, I knew the blowback was going to be severe when the wound was ripped back open with that really hard to explain effort by Alabama, where they just got outplayed, out hustled, out hit, and Castellanos did all that talking, and they didn't make him pay for it. They made him look like a genius.
Let's see if you can grow your nads a little bigger for week 2. Hopefully that'll happen. Bama's defense gave up an opening drive touchdown in a game 1 for the first time in 45 years. When I saw that stat, I was like, is that even possible? 45 years, their defense had not given up a touchdown in an opening drive. It's unbelievable. And amazingly enough, too, Kalen DeBoer now has lost 5 games. In all 5 of those games, Bama has not rushed for more than 100 yards. I don't know what's going on. I know with the Bryces and the Tua Tagovailoas and the Jalen Hurts, I know this is a quarterback school now, but we got to get back to what Alabama loves to do, and that is run in the trench and start setting the line of scrimmage. And there was evidently some story out. In case I don't know if you heard it or not, but right after Kalen DeBoer addressed the football team on Friday, the strength coordinator came out, and evidently there was blood on the wall. I don't know if he got a dead chicken and threw it up against the wall or something like that, and said, listen, it's all in the trenches. We got to win the trench. We got to win our box. And defensively speaking, we have got to be stronger than them. We got to run them off the ball, blah, 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 and just drilled it into them. They looked unprepared. The best, if you could pick one word to explain the Alabama Crimson Tide on Saturday, to me, it was unprepared. They looked like they were a step behind. Their angles were off. Their angles were wrong. Case, what did you see?
Yeah, that's a good word. I also might go with just shell-shocked. I think that Florida State was a lot better than a lot of people expected, but I think including them, which is a problem. You still got to be ready. I think when Florida State came out and looked more like the Florida State of 2 years ago than last year, it's just like they didn't know how to regroup. And I know this is not going on down there or anywhere, and I'm definitely, of all the big teams that lost, Alabama's the one I'm most concerned about, but I still temper just everything that it's one game, and you really don't know. I actually think the vast majority of the stuff is fixable. I know the clips of like the defense jogging and stuff and the effort. I really feel like they will get that together, and I still feel really good about the vast majority of position groups, but I don't know. I have a pretty big alarm at quarterback right now. I think we were talking about last week how one or two of these quarterbacks probably not going to pan out and it's going to sink the system. But Ty Simpson to me just looked terrible, just behind.
Dude, he's been a backup, and a lot of people are like, whoa! It's his first snaps. It's his first. I'm like, this guy's been a backup for 3 years. This is the Jim Sorgi of college football. This guy should be as ripe and ready as any college football player on the face of the earth. He's been playing behind 2 NFL guys for the last 3 years, clipboard or not. He should be ready to go. He knows exactly the system. He's had Kalen DeBoer out for 2 years. He knows what to do, and he just didn't look like he didn't know where the hell he was.
Yeah, that's the most concerning part to me, because they just are going to need him to be way better if they're going to turn the season around and get into this. Obviously, the SEC schedule doesn't start with a very easy assignment at Georgia. Although, I mean, I don't put much in historical stuff, but it does seem like Alabama's kind of had Georgia's number in this era. But I don't. It's just hard. It's going to be hard for me. Other than, again, I'm not a big Gunnar Stockton guy either. Picking apart Marshall doesn't convince me so much either. So that's a really tough opening SEC game. I could really see Alabama turning around everywhere, but I couldn't be more down on Ty Simpson after one game, and that's really the big concern to me.
But guys, real quick, Tony, isn't it remarkable? And you and I talked about this yesterday on our podcast. Isn't it remarkable if Alabama was playing Louisiana Monroe last week and these games were flipped? Ty Simpson probably would have run for 2 touchdowns, thrown for 3. Arch Manning, if he was playing San Jose State this week or last week instead of this week, he probably would have thrown 5 touchdown passes. They would have already been handing him the Heisman Trophy. It's so much of it depends on where you play and who you play. And I keep hearing just things that are just drive me crazy. I heard a commentator on SEC Network say, well, John Mateer got off to a sensational start. He looked amazing. He played Illinois State. Good grief. Then I heard somebody say Alabama's schedule doesn't get any easier with road trips at Georgia, and Missouri looked great in their opener. They played freaking Central Arkansas. I mean, there is just no... I don't understand this era when you play teams that are completely a joke and you get accolades, and the whole narrative would be completely different if the schedule was just a little bit reversed.
Guy, I got to ask you, because I know you've been taking sides, gambling sides and betting. It's not even for entertainment purposes only, man. It's legal everywhere. But I mean, there's a lot of people in the state that will play Alabama. I don't care if it's 75.5. They're going to take Alabama every single game they can. To give up 13.5, I bet you had some people crying on your phone late Saturday night.
Absolutely. And, as I sit here, I've been eating humble pie for the last 3 days as my contributions to K4 caused us to lose all weekend and want me to really look at everything. I think one of the big problems, which, by the way, the SEC was 14-2 this weekend. Alabama and Texas, the only losers. The SEC scored 604 points and gave up 202. So they're looking at their overs as they averaged 37.5 points and gave up 12. But again, a lot of the schools played, the Sisters of the Blind. But I think the problem, and I really think the problem at Alabama and some other schools, is the NIL. And a lot of these kids, showing up with their, stuffed animals and their painted fingernails and these things they're not worried about trying to do what Saban prepared them to do. Not only win, but get to the NFL. Well, now they're making $2 million a year here. So why are they in a rush to get to the NFL? Why do they have to show up every week? Because they're getting paid. And you know what? If you don't pay them in Alabama, well, they'll just do like anybody, or some of these guys that are Ohio State or Clemson or Duke or North Carolina, or that have transferred from Alabama. Somebody else will just pay them if they happen to suck at Alabama.
Man, I hope you're wrong. I just got to say, I hope you're wrong. I think you have something here. But, if they look that lousy, particularly the quarterback play, because they're now just all of a sudden getting paid, and let's be honest, they've been getting paid for a long time. It was just different types of handshakes. Now it comes in an envelope with a name on it. I'm hoping we're knee jerking here, saying all these guys are just throwing in the towel because now they're getting paid. They all want to go to the next level, and I think they've been getting paid for a long period of time. So
I don't just mean in Alabama. I mean a lot of other places. I'll say one more thing, and then I'll hush again. But I will say this. I said it 2 years ago when Kalen DeBoer was hired. Kalen DeBoer was, and just like Brian Harsin, Northwest guys are never going to succeed in the SEC, in my opinion. But he was hired to be a stopgap between the next coach and Nick Saban, because nobody wants to be the guy to follow the guy, and Kiffin will be the next coach. I don't think it'll be next year. I think it'll be 2 years, but he was put there to be a stopgap.
Well, and now it's just a matter of how long do they wait. We used to give every coach 3 years because it took that long to bring your own guys in. If you end up winning a national title in your first 2 years, it was the last guys that problem. And the cover was not fair. You would give them 3 years. We can't give you 3 years anymore. And now with these buyouts, and you mentioned the $70 million, I don't know, what's it worth to stop the bleeding? I will say this, and Kai, you had the worthless Tony Curry fact that was fantastic, and that is that Kalen DeBoer's lost 5 non-conference games now that aren't top 25, and Nick Saban didn't do that in 16 years.
Yeah, 4 unranked teams. Nick Saban lost 4 to unranked teams in 17 years.
Yeah, people don't understand how important it is down there. They're like, oh, boo-hoo. I'm like, no, you don't get it. I mean, 4 games a year. This is like Kentucky losing 10 basketball games. When you lose 10 basketball games in Kentucky, you get fired. You're done. And I mean, it's just too good. But I do think, Kai, you bring a really interesting fact up, and I don't think anyone's really talking about it because we just thought, okay, it's college football is normal. I do think this NIL, and I do think the players getting paid, I think has added a really weird, strange, I'm not too sure wrinkle to what I'm seeing every single week because there's a lot of guys that are getting paid big money, the Carson Becks of the world, and those guys coming into systems that maybe they're not used to. And so, it should be interesting. But I do think, 3 or 4 weeks into it, I think things even out a little bit. Again, with the games this weekend, in case I want to start right there, when you're looking at the opening board, you see the numbers. I know you like to jump on stuff super early. What were a couple of games that just popped out to you right off the top coming up for this weekend? I know you got some NFL too.
Well, unfortunately, I tried to make like one of the biggest bets of my life Saturday night when one posted, and the sports book would take hardly. They let me get a bet down to win $80 only, but that was Oklahoma only opened a -130 on the money line against Michigan, so I slammed that one. Then when it reopened, I bet some -3. It's now I think at like 6.5. That's about where I think it should be. So that's the first one that jumps to mind right of things. Though there was one game I was like could not wait. If you would have asked me a week ago, like what's the week 2 game you can't wait, there was just one absolutely tremendous spot that involves the SEC in my opinion. I could not wait to bet the team. It was a spot I had circled. And unfortunately, I feel like the market's in place now. I did bet some 7.5, but I love Mississippi State hosting Arizona State.
I do too.
Last year, Mississippi State was a complete train wreck. It was a year 0. They had all these guys, like Jeff Lebby, having to completely rebuild the program. They go to Arizona State, and they barely lose by 7. Now they're hosting them, and they're open a 7.5 point underdog. To be honest, I was really hoping to get like 10 or 10.5. So this didn't even end up being one of my bigger bets at 7.5. I was really hoping to get a little bit better. But, everyone's on the Arizona State train, and it was amazing, a great story last year. But the way they won these, they had like 4 games go down to the last play and just barely beat teams, including, I know they beat Mississippi State a little bit better than that, but still only by 7. They barely beat Texas State. They lost to Cincinnati, I think. I don't think Arizona State's like the juggernaut they're being priced as, and I'm really high on, relatively. I still think they'll probably only win like 1 SEC game, but I think Mississippi State has improved a lot when Chapin's healthy, which he is at the start of the year. I loved Fluff Bothwell last year at South Alabama. Now they've got him to run the offense through. So I don't know. I think it's going to be kind of culture shock for Arizona State to go to humid middle of nowhere Starkville. So I hate that I'm bringing it up. So now it's 6.5, and it's hard for me to even say bet plus 6.5. But if it gets back to 7, I bet Mississippi State plus 7.5.
Kip, I love playing one team one week and then taking them the next week, and I may do that with Vautech this next week because they're only giving up 1.5 against Vanderbilt. I love Vautech. I love the Hokies in this spot. I think, and I'd play the money line. I'd play -1.5. We always talk about stinky fishes. I know how much you love Coach Stoops, but Kentucky only catching 10 at home against Ole Miss. Is this one of those games that we're going to be going, looking back on maybe a little bit later on the season?
Once again, it's an SEC road game. The home team's not going to be a 20-point underdog in an SEC matchup. And remember, this game last year cost Lane Kiffin everything because at home in Oxford, Kentucky went in there and beat them. This is the Lane Kiffin Revenge Bowl. I guarantee you, he has dreamed about getting another shot at Stoops and Kentucky. 10 is probably about right. I guess we'll rush to judgment here and say, well, Ole Miss looks sensational. They clobbered Georgia State. Bottom line is, to me, it's an SEC road game. Kentucky will probably be competitive. Ole Miss is going to have the better team, but double-digit home dogs in the SEC. I'm not that excited about endorsing either side here. On paper, Ole Miss should slaughter them, but these games aren't played on paper.
No, they're not. And again, out of all the games, I almost feel like, normally, you have this great weekend where you have Texas, Ohio State, and of course you had the games coming up on Thursday, and it's exciting. It's great. It's great to have a great win, the Chick-fil-A Bowl, the All-State Bowl, and then that second week you just kind of take a breather and you really get an idea of who and what you feel like, because then you get into the conference play coming up in week 3. Case is with the National Football League, and I've always been interested to see this because I know some people, if you play college, you're playing pro, and if you play pro, you're playing college. How do people usually dole out their payroll a little bit? If you're a college player, but then you at the National Football League, do you just take it incrementally, day by day? How do you deal with betting on both?
Me, just in general.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I've long beat this, and I know it might take some building up your bankroll. Like, it wasn't like I could do this right away, but after years, I mean, I'm just betting both as soon as I possibly can, as soon as the numbers hit the board. I want less competition. I don't want these numbers to get more bang into place. So, I mean, I probably have, I haven't counted, but I'm sure I have probably 95% of my action, at least on sides, for college football already for this week. And in NFL, I probably won't make a single other sides play. I already have a whole bunch done. So I know, for like the person that's probably doing this more recreationally, just for fun, and just flies out to Vegas, wants to bet the games for a weekend, it's probably bet college football Saturday, wait and see if you get some money back, and then start firing on the NFL games. I mean, I understand. I just think if you're doing that, you got to kind of take it for the this is for fun, and hopefully you make some money off it, because the NFL market, especially on a macro sense, just takes so much. I mean, the lightest bet NFL game will probably have more action than like Texas Ohio State did in week 1. I mean, that's how big the NFL is. So when you have just millions upon millions of dollars, like, the NFL numbers are really tight by kickoff. So if there's one you have to wait on, I would say college football. I think there's still some opportunities, but if you're saying, all right, I'm going to try to bet one of these sports earlier this year, I would recommend the NFL, because it's just it's a whole nother beast in terms of the betting world.
You got a Thursday nighter, Dallas at Philadelphia. By the way, Philly's -7.5. That hook, that looks like who wouldn't want to take Philadelphia, the defending champions? I guess the Dallas squad just lost their best defensive player, maybe the best defensive player in the world, and you're only giving up 7.5. The over-under is 47.5 in Kansas City and Los Angeles coming up on Friday night. KC -3.5. Found it interesting. 6 road teams are actually favored in the National Football League this weekend. So we went through this whole thing and I love looking at numbers like that, but we always talk about Monday night home dogs. We talk about staying away from the fours, Kai. We always talk about all these different things to the National Football League as a bettor and our bettee. What are some different things that you look for in the National Football League that surprises you? Is it home dogs? Is it what do you particularly look for when you first find out the season is starting and you're like, okay, let me see the numbers. Let me see what looks like it's got some value to it.
I mean, I've already hammered the over 23.5 in the first half of the Dallas-Philly game. I really think, Dallas gave up every time Mike Parsons didn't play, they gave up 30 points. Well, I mean, Philly's going to score. Dallas is going to score. Philly lost a ton on defense. People are not thinking about that. Everybody's got to look and see what they lose during the summer, what goes. And I know they in my opinion, they lost a ton. They got some key pieces back. They moved some people around, but they lost some key playmakers, I think. And I think their defense is gonna give up. They'll give up 17 to Dallas probably. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 35-17 game to go over the 48. I don't think Dallas plays with Philly because I still think Philly's a very good team and much better than Dallas. But I can also see it being a 28-25 game because of the fact that late in the game Philly slows down and get a back door. I mean, I look at the lines just as much, offensive and defensive line. I think that's one of the reasons why Kiffin has such an issue with Kentucky that he was talking about, is because Mark Stoops cares about what's going on in the trenches, and Kiffin is all about the looks.
Yep.
He wants to throw his crap up as they're scoring a fancy touchdown or go for 4th and 7, those kind of things. So I haven't gotten into the weekend NFL at all much. That number Friday night with KC -3. I know it's not really at LA. It's in Mexico. So it is San Paulo.
I think. Brazil.
Do I?
I think it's Brazil.
Yeah,
San Paulo, whatever it is. All those countries are the same to me.
They got issues over there too.
Yeah, I mean, so
I wouldn't want to be in Brazil right now.
I really like that over the first half at Dallas. That's it. I mean, I have already played college football. I mean, I've already played Iowa State, SMU. I love Clemson -33 to beat up on a horrible Troy team. I like South Florida getting 17.5 against Florida.
That's a lot of points.
Me too.
Yeah, I wonder if South Florida, if they were playing Florida the first game.
Not me. Not me.
I will say this.
I just like it.
We're going to get back to college football in a second. I will say this because we're going to hammer NFL on Friday at 10 o'clock Central right here on the digital network, the Coastal Digital Network, and of course all over Florida. And right here on Tony Kurre Radio, we have over 100,000 subscribers. You can listen to the show as many times as you want on the TKR app. Make sure you get that. I always talk about smelly fishes, and the Cincinnati Bengals, I am riding high on this team. I know defensively they suck. They've got every great offensive player in the world. You can have the greatest quarterback, the greatest wide receiver, the greatest running back, and you can suck. You can lose 12 or 13 games. I get that. But I see them taking on Cleveland, a team that just looks like abyss. They just look horrible. They don't have a quarterback. They have nothing on that football team, and they're only catching 4.5 against my Bengals on the road. And I'm like, they say, if I had a hair in my ass, this would be a perfect spot for me to take Cleveland on the money line, because Cleveland just owns Cincinnati the last 4 or 5 years. Even when Cincinnati should have won by 10, for some reason, Cleveland's always had Cincinnati. The dog pound's going to be getting nasty up there. So I fully expect the Bengals 1-7, their last 8 on weekends, 1-2 in the National Football League. I know they played everybody week 2. They're like, we're not keeping everyone on the bench. Joe Burrow's going to be out there throwing the ball 25 times in week 2 in the preseason. That's fine. I don't know if that changes anything, but any thought on that game case? Because obviously I like to put a little something behind it. It looks too easy to take the Cincinnati. Obviously I'd love to see 3.5 or 4, 4.5, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if Cleveland comes out and wins that game.
Yeah, I mean, I got to put my money where my mouth is, and I might have got the worst of this one. It's not one of my bigger bets of the week, but I did bet Cincinnati -5.5 at reduced juice -105. So that's basically -5, which it is now. I'm super high on the Bengals, so I felt like I just had to go forward with it. I give them a little bit of an upgrade this week just because of kind of what you said. They played the starters in the preseason. They have been banging home so hard. We have to start better. We can't afford who they lost to the Patriots last year. I can't remember 2 years ago. They lost to someone crappy. They've just gotten off to the worst starts. It's weird. I kind of feel like it's kind of equivalent with what I was talking about with the LSU Clemson game last week, or LSU, like they were posting week 1 everywhere. They had just gotten embarrassed in week 1 time and time again. I thought they had the talent edge in that game, and I thought they were so focused on get starting fast that they would. I kind of feel like that with Cincinnati now too. So like 5.5, to me, I don't really show much value there. It wouldn't normally be a bet. I made it about 6. I used kind of 2 different numbers, meet in the middle at 6. So I typically wouldn't bet it, but I really just give them a boost for how much emphasis, how badly they want to start fast. And I'm just, it's scary to say, but I'm just higher on this defense than most people, as we've talked about time and time again. I just really don't think they're going to be the laughing stock of the NFL defensively again. And offensively, they were clicking so good at the end of last year. I don't know. I laid the 5.5. Maybe this is one where they get out big early. I try to play some back on Cleveland because it is the NFL. All these guys are getting paid. They're all really the games just find a way to be close. So I guess in a perfect world, Cincinnati goes up 14-0 or 17-0 something, and I can play back some like Cleveland plus 10.5. But I am going into the game starting with Cincinnati -5.5.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a quarterback issue, you might as well play one of the worst defenses, or at least with the worst defense we think is going to be the National Football League and the Cincinnati Bengals, because they can make any quarterback look really, really good. I do want to touch back, and we're going to get into the NFL big time on Friday, 10 o'clock right here. I want to get into it. What's that?
They're going to have to score to win, and the total's only 47.5. So that's going to put their team total around 27.5. And if it's 27.5 team total, you've got to take some.
Yeah, and they've started off slow offensively too.
But you guys are forgetting Joe Flacco won the 1977 Super Bowl, so they're a threat.
Hey, he used to be like Smoking Joe on the road, man. Remember how good he was on the road? He could win anything. And the fact that we got a pair of Joes now going after each other, I don't know. I do want to get
Flacco.
back.
Come on.
Hey, Hall of Famer?
No way.
Joe Flacco? Have you seen his numbers?
Flacco will not get near the unless he pays.
I'm not saying he is either, but I mean he's worth it. It's worth a talk, right? He's top 15 in everything. He's top 15 in everything. In the
he's 40 years old. If you play long enough, you're going to pile up some stats. Joe Flacco was on fabulous Ravens teams with unbelievable defenses. No. I just don't see that at all. He can get in the Hall of Fame, but he's got to buy a ticket.
He'll get discussed. I agree with Tony. he'll get discussed, but I think everyone will come to the conclusion we are and say no. But
Hey,
because
I
of the
wanna-
run he had to the Super Bowl, he'll get discussed.
I want to get back
Tony
to
is taking notes that we all said no. He's writing that down for later. I saw that.
You get the pen right here. I want to get back to college ball because we'll get into the pro stuff more on Friday. I do want to talk about this LSU Clemson game. My son was at the game. He gets in. He texts me, can you Venmo me some money? And I said, it depends on what it's for. He said, I'm getting a ticket to the game, and holy crap, it's $350. And I said, wow. And I said, now you know how your dad feels, because if you go in there and you see a loser, you feel like you just got bet over twice. Because not only you get to see a loser, but you just got $350 to see a loser. And that's exactly what happened. He texts me at halftime, says, hey, they look pretty good. They did look pretty good at halftime. Made no adjustments. And I was really surprised because I think Dabo does a really nice job of making adjustments at halftime. He didn't even do anything at halftime. And kudos to Brian Kelly getting a huge victory on the road for the LSU Bayou Bengal Tigers. Is that, Kip, basically how you thought the game was going to go? Have we learned anything about either team that we think, wow, I was off on that? Or have we thought, boy, that's an interesting thing. I didn't think they were going to do quite that well in this particular area.
Well, I said last week on the show, I felt like Nussmeier was the legitimate quarterback in this showdown of experienced guys. I'm just not a Cade Klubnik guy. I think Cade Klubnik has done a decent job at the controls of a good team for a couple years, but I think LSU really exposed him in the second half the other night. And also, Tony, I know you and I don't agree on this. I don't think Dabo's a great coach. I think he had Deshaun Watson at the height of his abilities. He had Trevor Lawrence and Etienne and 4 or 5 first-round defensive.
Someone had to bring those guys in, man.
Well, okay, I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah,
but I don't think Dabo, from a strategy standpoint, is any kind of wizard of X's and O's. So
that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
I thought Clemson played an SEC style game. LSU made the better adjustments. I heard Brian Kelly running off the field with the just detestable mandatory interview where they stop a coach. Of course, that's not as bad as grabbing him on the sidelines during a TV timeout. But Kelly was exuding confidence, said, we got to fix a couple things. We're a little off, but I really feel good about where we are. Coaches usually don't give that kind of optimistic forecast. And LSU totally took control of that game in the second half. They even got robbed of a touchdown on what I think is the worst officiating situation now in football at all levels. This catch to the ground thing is interpreted differently on every single play when it happens.
If it looks like a catch, it's a catch. I know. If it looks like a catch and the guy's going out of bounds, as long as his 2 feet are down and the ball's in his hand, give him the damn catch.
How can you guys?
You gave a great point yesterday during K4 and Kurre. When you're a running back and the ball breaks the plane, it's a touchdown.
If they swat it out of your hands a half a second later, it's still a touchdown. Why, when you have full possession and your feet touch down and then you get hit and lose the ball as you roll over, how is that not a touchdown? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you. I wanted to ask you guys around the horn. Go ahead, Kai. You want to go?
I'm just going to throw this out there because Kip did mention that how Dabo won was all these great players he had and not per se his coaching. I get hammered because I say Nick Saban's not the greatest coach ever. And I have heard Kip say that he may be. And I get hammered because I say when you've got more talent than everybody on the field with 5 stars backing up 5 stars that Saban had for 15 years, you should win every game. He should have won more national championships than he did. He surrounded himself with the most talent. He is the greatest recruiter of all time. But if he was the greatest coach of all time, he'd have 15 national championships.
He wouldn't have lost that FSU game this weekend. I'm sorry, there's no way in hell. Nick Saban does not lose that game against FSU Saturday. He doesn't do it.
Probably because he wouldn't be letting
He didn't do it. He didn't do it in 17 years. Nick Saban does not lose to Oklahoma last year. He doesn't lose to Vanderbilt, and he sure as fuck doesn't lose to FSU this weekend. He doesn't. He just doesn't. We've had 16 years of track record to look and see what kind of games get to him. It may be
go back and look at the stats and tell me how many times Nick Saban
that's coaching. Yeah.
won games where the other team had more talent on paper than him.
Yeah. Well, it had much. So I mean, you're not telling me that FSU's got better talent than Alabama, right?
Do they?
Or are you?
With the transfer portal? Ask it, do they with
I don't
transfer
know.
portal?
Yeah.
Don't know.
I don't think it's a blowout. I think it's clearly Alabama, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
not that huge of a gap either.
Bama's got better players than
Definitely, but I don't think it's like I don't think they're in totally different worlds.
No, but they're not losing that game. I want to
let me say this just to get on that discussion. The quarterback in college matters. Castellanos has played a lot of football. Ty Simpson hasn't. I think at the end of the day, that's as big a factor on Saturday as anything.
Yep, there's no doubt. I wanted to ask you guys a question, and this has been kind of ringing my bell. I did have, and I will admit it, I don't throw it out there. I let my plays stand for themselves. I went 3-0 in the starting lineup. I was really happy about that. I had TCU minus the 3 last night. I think we were all over that. Of course, we had that on our play. They win by 34. Bill Belichick, I never played. I could be totally wrong. I think is the most overrated. You talk about overrated coaches. I think he's the most overrated coach in the history of the world. I really do. I think there was a guy that used to coach the Chicago Bulls and the Lakers that was overrated as well. I don't think he deserves to have 10 different rings.
Phil Jackson.
I do. I mean, look at you want to talk about the players he had? Just stay the fuck out of the way. I mean, he was giving players weekend jaunts to Las Vegas during the playoffs, for God's sakes, because he couldn't get control of his players and he was winning championships. Bill Belichick, for me, if he ends up going like 2-10 or 3 and then lays it up and says, listen, this is not for me, from a legacy standpoint, I think just paints him in a really bad spot. I don't think he's the greatest NFL coach. I think anybody could have won 6 Super Bowls with Tom Brady as their quarterback, period. And I think the fact that he did not retire immediately after Tom left was one of the dumbest things he could have done, because he totally showed his ass and showed what kind of coach he was. He did nothing for the New England Patriots after Tom left, and now he's doing nothing with the North Carolina Tar Heels. Am I off here?
No, I thought North Carolina looked like the New England Patriots.
Jeez, man. Terrible. I mean, and he looks like he doesn't want to be there. I don't know. I'd love to know if you're a season ticket holder. God bless you, you dumbass. You dumbass. You bought that soup. You bought that drink, man. You're like, I mean, they're sold out, and you're sitting there watching that crap last night, and that was, I mean, you got Monday night Labor Day game, and you just laid that egg. Oh,
he was a great coach for a long time, and you cannot take away the defenses and the system that he built in New England. Now, has the game maybe passed him by? Things have changed, just like with Saban. Have things changed? That's a lot. The game is so different than it was 10 years ago when he was dominant. I mean, in the NFL, yes, he had Brady, but Brady didn't win a Super Bowl without great defenses and without some other dumbass coaches that throw the ball around or don't down it or don't run the ball from the 1 on 1st and goal.
I mean, the game moves so fast, and there's a reason why we haven't seen 73, 74-year-old coaches in the past. I mean, I agree with you. He's completely tarnishing his legacy, so I totally agree with that part. We wouldn't be having any of these conversations if he just walked away, even after 1 or 2 of those Patriots years. I was pretty impressed by it, and people forget about it, but the first year post Brady with the Patriots, with Mac Jones as a rookie, he was going to win Rookie of the Year. They had that great run. I know they got blown out in the playoffs, but I thought that was pretty impressive. And the one thing you guys said that I completely disagree with is I just do not think that the Patriots win those first 3 Super Bowls without Bill Belichick. Tom Brady was not Tom Brady yet. That was really schematically, defensively. He had his time when he was hands down the best coach in the NFL. Beyond that, when the Patriots really turned into the Patriots, the near undefeated season, the final 3 Super Bowls, I think time has shown, like, yeah, that was Brady. But I think we can't really totally diminish Belichick, because there's no way, like the 2001 team, the 2003, 2000, like, go back and look at the stats, watch the film, what they were doing on defense, and a lot of that stuff's illegal now. You can't be that physical, but that was all Belichick.
A lot of things were illegal that the New Patriots did with cameras, with footballs, and everything else.
Yeah, I can't quite go overboard just trashing the guy, because I think he had his time. Then we got a little too high on him.
I'm just jealous that he's got some 24-year-old hot chick that he's going home and getting laid after he loses by 34.
She's shopping this morning, believe me.
No, there's no doubt. All right, before we get into some Major League Baseball, I do want to go to the NFL route: Dallas, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Los Angeles. Then on Sunday, we got Tampa Bay, Atlanta. That is an interesting game. Tampa Bay is one of those road teams giving up 2.5. Cincinnati, Cleveland, another road team favored by 4.5. Las Vegas, New England. I want to get to that game first. Arizona, New Orleans. Pittsburgh, New York, Washington, Carolina, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Denver, San Fran, Seattle, Detroit, Green Bay, Houston, Los Angeles, Baltimore, Buffalo. Monday night matchup is Minnesota at the frozen tundra in Chicago. Because you are the beat writer and you are the man for the Las Vegas Raiders, we will always get the inside on those Raiders. What do you like this weekend against, of course, the New England Pats? And the New England Pats actually favored by 2.5 in this game.
Yeah, I bet some flat 3, so +3, -110 on the Raiders. If you can find that, if you can get there. I think 3 is so important in the NFL, so I wouldn't just take the +2.5. I mean, just when they were at 3, that implies that the Patriots are a better team on a neutral field, and maybe I'm a little swayed by having seen the Raiders up close, but I think that's hard for me to swallow. I think this Raiders team's pretty good. I think they're going to surprise some people. I do think it's a pretty evenly matched game, but I might say on paper the Raiders are just slightly better. So because of that, I made this game like 1.5. I think you could only take the points right now. And I also, I think this number has moved too, but I bet over 42.5. The Raiders really have some questions defensively. I think they're going to be able to score, but I'm pretty high on Drake May. I wouldn't be surprised if he took the next step forward. And if he is, this is the secondary to do it against, because the Raiders cornerbacks are dreadful on paper. Who knows? We'll get out there, see what happens when the games are going. I know that's supposed to be Pete Carroll's specialty. Not a good start for the oldest coaches in football history with Bill Belichick, but I've seen Pete Carroll up close. I think he's got a little more left, but we'll see. But I lean both to the Raiders and the over in this game.
Current line 43.5. You're right. It's moving up, and I kind of like the over in that game as well. Kip, National Football League. What are some games? I can't believe this is going to be the first weekend, dude. We have college and pro ball. I mean, it's so good. It's such a great time to be alive. Tell me some NFL action you like this weekend, brother.
I just glanced at it. I haven't really done a deep dive because I'm still kind of college football obsessed. I looked at those games extensively last night, but a couple that kind of jumped out at me. I know the Rams have quarterback issues. Matthew Stafford is supposed to start with his bad back. I don't think he's practiced extensively. So I'm a little bit concerned about them going to Houston. And am I wrong? Are the Rams a road favorite there at Houston?
It's at LA.
Yeah, it's at LA.
Oh, it is at LA.
Okay. They're 3.5. Yeah.
Okay, well that makes sense then, because when I looked at it, I said the wrong team's favored here. At home, I guess they are, but I kind of like this Texans team coming back. I like C.J. Stroud, so I even taking the road stab there because of the quarterback questions was something that kind of jumped out at me. And I don't know that the transition in Seattle to the new regime, I got to think the 49ers are going to bounce back. I think the organization's too good. The personnel still pretty well stocked there. I see they're just a slight pick against Seattle. So that was the first two I really kind of noticed that I thought that both of those kind of stood out. And I think the Vikings are better than the Bears. I mean, there's all this Caleb Williams hype. There was last year. The Bears were the Bears. Let's face it. They got the new coach coming in from Detroit. But that was the other game that got my attention. That's basically a pick 'em. I like the Vikings in that game, and that one's on Monday night, right?
Yeah, best team that no one talked about last year was the Minnesota Vikings, man. I mean, they won 13, 14 ball games.
And if Casey's right about McCarthy, and I've heard nothing but good things in camp, the Vikings may be even better than they were last year.
That's going to be – I'm going to watch a game just to see J.J. McCarthy. I don't know why you would give up a proven guy who's obviously won playoff games as a quarterback. There's something rubbed there. I don't know if someone's got pictures of the GM's wife or something. I don't know. But J.J. McCarthy's got that starting gig coming back for a 14-win season. I'm going to be watching that Cincinnati Browns game. I have a feeling my heart's going to be just pulling out of my chest. It's going to be an ugly 23-16 game when it shouldn't be. I think the Pittsburgh and the Jets game is obviously going to have a lot of fun to it because I want to see if Aaron Rodgers actually looks like Aaron Rodgers. He may be at like 10 of 16 for 83 yards. But this ain't 435-yard Aaron Rodgers throwing 5 touchdowns anymore. It's not. And I think I'm going to be interested to see. I'm going to watch Tomlin on the sideline. I get this feeling that Tomlin doesn't like having 45-year-old quarterbacks in camp every single year. And he's had it now 3 years in a row. And I think he likes to mentor guys. I think he likes to grow guys. I think he likes to grow quarterbacks. He did it with Ben Roethlisberger for a long period of time until he didn't have to do it anymore. Now all of a sudden you got a guy in there who's going to be checking off every single play he doesn't like. I think that's going to be really interesting. And coming from that division, I absolutely love that Pittsburgh is going to be laying that. Baltimore, Buffalo. should be just one hell of a
game of the
football.
week. Yep.
That's the game of the week. And the other one I think could be really close and really good too is Detroit Green Bay. Now, of course, everyone's talking about Green Bay with Michael Parsons, but Green Bay was already right there in the midst of perhaps being a Super Bowl pick for me. But Detroit Green Bay, I want to see what Detroit does. Comes back. I think a lot of people have them. What was their over under on wins? Was it 11.5 for Detroit? Case,
Green Bay. Oh yeah, Detroit.
No,
I don't
Detroit.
have it in front of me, but yeah, I think 10.5 juice to the over.
Yeah, that's one of those things where if you're a Detroit Lions fan, you have not woken up yet, and you're like, please don't wake me up. Just let's continue to play football because that season last year was just an unbelievable year. Great coach, great plays, but they won some bizarre games last year. Kai, what did stuck out to you? And have you gotten any early action on anything in the National Football League?
Like I said, I already took the over 23.5 first half of the Dallas Philly game. Looking at the lines, I have not seen the team totals on some of these NFL games. I'm going to assume that Washington's going to be somewhere around 26, since that total's 46.
You go Washington over every game this year again?
Not every game, but this one. I like Cincinnati's team total to go over. It's probably going to be somewhere around 26.5, 27.5. I like that. I think Tampa Bay and Atlanta, although historically don't go over, I think that game goes over. Unfortunately for my beloved Titans, I think Cam Ward just gets shellacked in Denver. I like Denver in that situation. Right now, I haven't played it, but I don't think the Titans are as good as Denver and going up there. And until something else comes up, but I mean, I was wrong all weekend. I like Baltimore. I think they go and they win that game. So.
There you go. All right, good stuff. Let's look at some MLB real quick. We have a few minutes here. We mentioned the Texas Rangers have rolled off 6 in a row. A week ago this time, they were nowhere to be seen. Now a game and a half in the wild card. Everything else has pretty much stayed the same. Any other reason to be looking at Major League Baseball? Obviously, we continue to be hot. Major League Baseball continue to play our plays. We're going to be really on it big time when the playoffs start, but we still have about 15, 20 games left. First of all, before we go any further, Kai, how was our record last week? We have to give a record out every week.
Not good. Overall, last week was 18, 20, and 6. It's the first losing week we've had this year. Okay. So, I mean, it's not horrible. You're 2 games below 500. Still a losing week. Last month, 85, 50, and 7 for the month of August. We're 739 and 389 year to date with 10 pushes. But Monday night, get back on track with a 6-3 night. Some baseball losers. Really like Boston and San Francisco -1 on their run line today, personally. But I don't know. Like I said, y'all probably won last week on the weekend, but I brought our record down tremendously with my horrible.
It's all right. We work together, brother. We work together, and we're going to continue to do that. And that's what we do, man. That's why we're the 4Ks, brother. We all look at each other, and people are like, well, I heard you say that you love this game, and then you didn't put it up on your website. If not all 4 of us agree on something, then we don't do it. It only takes one person to blow something up, which is unfortunate sometimes because someone's really got the good feeling on it, and it happens.
And I tell you, I sent you the text. We had some requests that some people wanted our site to be more user friendly. So we have a computer guy working on that, and by this weekend, our site will be, completely different, completely changed, and much more user friendly as we get 1 year in, and we're making some changes to help the people that go look at us.
And baseball's really interesting this time of the year, too. You're going to see a lot of smelly fish lines. You're going to see the Detroit Tigers. You'll see Scooble. You'll see one of those -110, -1. You're like, how in the world can a guy who's 12-3 end up just being – there's a lot of pitch count stuff's going on right now. There's a lot of different things going on with trades. There's a lot of guys who aren't pitching at all. There's a lot of scratches going on. Before we move on, you brought this up last week, Kai. When you get a chance to talk about it, please tell people about listed and unlisted players, how important it is to make sure that if you're going listed, you make sure your man's going.
Yeah, if you are pitching, if you are betting on baseball, then there's a thing. Depending on how you're doing it online, there's always something to click if you want action or listed pitchers. Which means if there is a pitching change in the game, if you have action that
before the game starts, we're talking before the game starts.
Yeah, if it's listed and Scooble's supposed to start today, then you go and you mark listed and you get them -150. Well, it could change if they change pitchers. You have no action on that game. But if it's action, no
Interesting.
matter who the starting pitcher is, instead of Scooble, it could be me pitching. You still have the same line with me pitching versus probably Cy Young winner.
Yeah.
How's your breaking ball these days, Kai?
My elbow still hurts. It sucks.
Unfortunately, I think, I mean, other than like local guys, like this is going to be a discussion of the past very soon because all the big local books don't give listed pictures. All the big national books, excuse me, that they've pretty much eradicated listed pitchers. I think even in Vegas, there's only 2 books still where you can get listed pitchers. So unfortunately, I think this is going away, but it is a great asset if you have it.
Local guys, you got, but you have to click it. If you don't go and click listed pitchers, your action. And that's the way a lot of people, especially with locals, make big mistakes. Is they'll take the Yankees minus 330 with Max Fried pitching, and then Max doesn't pitch, and it's again Case is pitching.
K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com, K4Winners on our social media plans. Make sure you check out our brand new website. It'll be up by the end of the week, K4Winners.com, guys. We'll catch you back on Friday, 10 o'clock Central right here for, of course, the entire crew there at the wonderful Coastal Digital Sports Network. We greatly appreciate you, and thanks for listening to Tony Kurre Radio. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, guys.